Hi everyone, welcome back to Property Partners Podcast. Today we're going to talk about all things property and especially property investment, and we have a special guest today.
Yes, we do. We do have Ervina Deng today. And actually, welcome back first, Diana.
Yes.
We had a very good, interesting podcast the last time.
Yes, we did.
And it had amazing response, which was really great, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
So because of that, we have brought Ervina.
Yes.
Ervina is a highly accomplished property manager.
Yes, welcome Ervina.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I'm really excited to be here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I'm going to read Ervina's credentials, which is pretty long. So I'm actually going to... So I'm going to need my notes for this one because I think everything needs a mention on here. 17 years experience in the real estate industry, starting in Jakarta in 2008. So Ervina has cultivated a deep passion for both property and people. She's built strong relationships with diverse networks of property investors, both across Australia and internationally. Her clients describe her as hardworking, dedicated, caring, reliable, and strategic, which I like. She completed high school in Jakarta before moving to Perth, where she graduated from the University of Western Australia with a major in finance and accounting. Over the last 10 years, she's worked as a business development manager, which is a rental specialist, helping over 1,500 investors achieve the best outcomes and rental returns. Fluent in English and Indonesian with a strong finance background and deep cross-cultural understanding, Ervina brings a unique edge to property management. So her commitment to service is second to none. She's all about providing tailored solutions, clear communication, and long-term support. She thrives on helping local, interstate, and overseas investors discover great opportunities in WA. And let's not forget all the awards that she's gotten. She's been an REB award finalist, LJ Hooker Top BDM 4 years running, and an LJ Hooker Elite Captains Club member. Wow. Actually, we forgot to mention you've just changed recently, isn't it?
Yes, I have.
And who are you with now?
So I'm with Harcourts Property Specialists.
Yes.
We have 3 branches. So we are based in South Lake, Shelley, and also Willetton.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Excellent. So as we know, you're a gun in your industry. We would love to know more about what property management is all about. All right. What is a property manager actually do on a day-to-day basis for an investor?
Okay, I'm gonna break them down in three simple parts. So a listener can understand like what actually we do. The first one is the preparation stage, and then the second one will be the leasing stage, and then the property management stage. So during the preparation stage, what we do, we help the property investors to understand how much value they can get. That's the first thing, and then we help them to get the property ready before going on the market. Like that's a basic thing. Like sometimes painting, sometimes cleaning, and then. Obviously, then we go to the next stage, which is leasing. That will involve photographer, marketing, home open, and then until we get application and then property leased. Then we go to the most important part, which is property management. That will involve, the ingoing report, accounts, and then dealing with tenants, and then dealing with legalities, making sure the property, compliance, and also routine inspection and so on. Yeah. That's basic. That's quite, people think it's very, we do not a lot, but we actually do quite a lot.
I think you just sit there and collect rent, isn't it?
Collect rent, yes, that's one of the things as well. Now, but it's not just that. We actually do more than just collecting rent.
Yeah, Ervina, I've employed property managers myself, and I think it's wonderful to have someone to manage the property for me independently. A lot of my clients who are investors, they like to manage it themselves. But what do you think? Can you just manage it yourself, or is there a lot of issues that you need to maybe just let the property managers handle? Can you tell us about some legal issues that's important to know as a landlord?
Property managers, we receive a lot of we receive ongoing training. And we keep ourselves updated with the legislation, Residential Tenancy Act, and also the compliance, whether the property compliance or not. That's those stuff are the most important thing among all. For example, if your property is not compliance in WA, if it is not compliance with legislation for RCD and smoke alarm, you could get penalties up to between 5,000 to 15,000. That's a lot of money.
It's a lot.
And I found like a lot of property investors that doing it themselves before came to me. Their properties are not compliant. They didn't even know that they have to get it checked.
So it's very important to kind of have someone manage it for you, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So I think because that kind of remove the emotions out of it and everything as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's also like, what's your time worth, isn't it? Because managing even one property takes time, effort, takes structure.
Yeah.
And in your case, like you're reading your credential, you're managing 1,500 properties. So you know what you're doing.
The property investors that deal with me directly is 1,500. But my team actually managed nearly, 1,500 at the moment, the one where I work. So 1,500 plus. But I have a big team that's supporting me. Yeah.
So obviously, as a property manager, you're not only dealing with the tenant, you're also dealing with the landlord.
Yes.
You're also dealing with all the trades.
Yeah.
So you kind of become a go-to person, an in-between person for everyone, right? So how does that work?
It is more into, I have a big team. I have a property manager. So property manager helping me to do that. My side of more into like dealing property investors until helping them to get the maximum return, making the property ready. So for it takes a lot of time and negotiation skill for my property managers to do that. Sometimes, and then also build a good relationship with landlords, because sometimes property managers they feel like they're being sandwiched between landlords and then tenants. And also contractors. Sometimes they have to build a really good relationship with them to get things getting done pretty quick, and then also at a good price as well, at a good cost as well.
When you actually ask the property manager to manage your property, how do you actually help the landlord to chase any late payments from the tenants? And if the tenants end up not paying, what can you do as a landlord?
Okay, so we have a system. On that system, as soon as the rent behind 1 day, we get a reminder. Property managers get a reminder saying like this. There's an alert saying like this is behind, and then it will send text to tenant automatically. It's a gentle reminder text saying like you behind with rent. The first 3 days, that's just reminder, and then 7 days we can send tenants breach. Meaning like it stays on their record saying like you're on breach. And in 14 days, we can terminate. But obviously before we come to the stage terminate, we need to consult with owners. Sometimes it's not as simple as terminate and we change tenant, because every time we change tenant, it will be at the landlord's cost with every advertising and listing. So we need to be balanced. Which way is the best way? Should we terminate or should we just, making payment plan? But at least we're onto it. We speak to tenants. What's actually happening here? Why are you behind? Is there anything we can do to make it without going to termination, without going to court? If they're just not responding, they're still not paying rent after 14 days, then we terminate and we go to court. And then we go to court. We get the court order, and then we can basically terminate.
So there's a lot of help from property managers, even on the tenant side, just to help them to understand their situation, right?
Of course, yeah.
So if a landlord want to manage it themselves, when such things happens, what are the cases like you have seen? How does a landlord who doesn't have a property manager handle that?
With the rent arrears in particular, they don't have record. So when you need to go to court for this, for rent arrears, court will say, okay, where's the tenant's ledger? Where's the proof? And that is hard. A lot of landlords, especially, they're like, oh, okay, I have this like on my notes or just like, simple spreadsheet. It's hard to prove that tenant's actually behind. On there, okay, where's the bank account? Where's the, transfer? It's really hard. It's getting more complicated if they don't have like a proper system in place. And sometimes they miss the deadline. You have to 7 days breach, 14 days termination. You have to follow that. If you don't, if your landlord they don't follow that, then court say, oh, you haven't given breach, you haven't given termination. Then court will say, okay, you have to go back to, sorry, we can't do anything. And then even come to the stage that if we have to go to landlord insurance to claim or the rental laws, the insurance will say, okay, where is the tenant's ledger? Where is the breach letter? Where is the termination letter? So a lot of like self-managed landlord, they don't have that record, and it's gonna be hard.
That's the whole point of having a property manager, right? Who can advise on that. You're able to mention a little bit about that?
Normally, when a property they come to me normally before they make a purchase, or sometimes too late, they already make a purchase. Then I'll go, the first time I'll say, okay, all right, so this is as we want to, if you want to rent it out as is, this is how much you're gonna get. But my suggestion would be, for example, you replace the front yard, or getting it like replace it with a artificial turf, or my suggestion for you to repaint, or my suggestion for you to replace the flooring. Like sometimes small little cosmetics like that will increase the rental yield massively.
How much are we talking about roughly?
For example, like an old house with a really bad paint, we can increase up to $50 to $100 a week. Depends on what do you actually do. But those are the small little things sometimes that are like tapwares. Like sometimes they look rusty. That doesn't cost much. If you replace, go to Bunnings, replace with something looks nice, that will make the house look more appealing, fresh, and attract good people, and they're willing to pay more, higher.
I can add that when you actually do cosmetic improvement on the house, and when a landlord comes to the bank for a revaluation to increase the equity, that actually helps to increase the value as well.
Oh, great.
That actually will help them to build more equity and acquire more investment properties. So definitely a property manager's input is really valuable in helping an investor add value to their property. Not just for that property itself, but maybe that helps into their future property as well.
And that's also strategic improvements, right? Like you don't want to just like, would a chandelier add value to a property? That kind of thing. So I think a lot of people again come back to that emotion part of it. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ervina, where it's like I just want to do this and do that to the property, and because it'll make the clients more comfortable. That's fine. But would it add that value to give it, to increase its value and give you your returns? Is that right? Do you find that as well with investors?
Yes, I normally sit down with them and then giving them some quotation, like quotes. Okay, this is how much to do this, and then we sit down together and count how long until they get the return. You're absolutely right. Sometimes the improvement they want to do, it doesn't really add value, and I would say like, I don't think I would suggest that, because people, people meaning tenants, they don't really look at that stuff. They don't really care. So just leave them.
So you don't overcapitalize.
No, exactly. You don't want to overcapitalize and you don't get the return. At the end of the day, it's business, it's investment. You want to get return from what you invest.
So it comes to my mind, if let's say I budget about 10,000, would it be reasonable to do cosmetic improvement? Will I get anything out of 10,000?
Absolutely. 10,000. If you give me budget 10,000, I will do the first thing. I'll look at the carpet and then the flooring. If they're really bad, that's the first thing I'll say, like, change it, and painting and blinds.
Okay.
Depends
so
on
three items.
Three items.
So the flooring,
the
painting, and also
the blinds, the window dressing. And then tapwares.
And tapwares.
Yeah, as simple as that. And then, but if landlords say, oh, I would like to do more. But again, I look at the property. If the inside is actually good, but the outside is really bad, then I would say, okay, let's spend the 10,000 on artificial turf, or or paving or concrete that make it more, more appealing for tenants as well.
How important is upgrading the toilets, the bathroom, or even the kitchen?
It is very actually it's very important.
That's expensive.
That's expensive, but that definitely adds value.
Right.
Kitchen and bathroom, those two are really, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, when you sell it, that's also, add value as well.
Yes, that's right. That's the very first thing that actually makes the house looks more brand new.
What about things like granny flats and stuff like that? Is that an area that you look into as well?
Yes, I love granny flat. I have like this particular landlord that I admire him. So what he's been doing for the last, I think, 3-4 years and worked together with me, he bought a big land and he bought a big land, and then with an old house. So what he did, he renovated the front house and he put granny flat at the back, which is, I think, is a really great idea. By doing that, he received 2 rental incomes instead of like 1, and the return up to, I think, 10%. But 10%, yeah, wow. 10% from the 2, investment that the 2 things that he put it there. And then after he was successful with the first one, he did the second one next door to it. He bought a big land with old house, renovated, and put granny flat, and he received 2, income.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I'm not wrong, if you have that just one land, you just pay one land tax.
Yes,
right?
correct.
Yeah, so you don't have to pay double land tax.
Correct, yes.
And that's another savings. Very clever, this landlord.
Oh, he's very clever. And then I think that he's up to the 4th properties now. He kept doing the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, with granny flat. We include 650, but include the utilities. We do with both. So basically, they don't have to worry about dividing and,
I see.
We just like, okay, this include everything.
We talked in a previous episode where it's very important to have a strategy on how you would like to invest and move forward, isn't it? Because ultimately that's how you are going to get your returns and stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's been a great one. Do you have any final thoughts on, that you would impart on first-time investors who are coming into the market, who is looking for a property? And obviously, they're on the fence. They're thinking, should I manage it myself? Should I get a property manager to come on board and help me? What would be your piece of wisdom for them?
I think as simple as don't try to cut corners by doing it yourself, or choose the cheapest property manager, because the quality of your property manager will be reflected directly to your return. How good they work, how good their negotiation skill, how experienced they are. That's quite important. When doing it yourself, sometimes a lot of landlords think they can do it themselves, but when it comes to the unexpected things that happen, that's when you really need a good, experienced property manager.
I think that's very well said, Ervina. And also, it's important to sit down and have a chat with different property managers, and also, see what their credentials are, what sort of property they're managing, and what sort of portfolio they're having.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
Now that's amazing. I think that's well said. Tell our listeners, if they want to ever reach out to you, how would they contact you?
They can reach out to me on LinkedIn, or they can contact me. My number is 0450-326588. That's my number. Or I'm available on social media.
Yes.
We'll put in your bios in the podcast links.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would like to remind our listeners that we are not, when you're a property investor, we are not buying a dream home. You're buying a property asset, build your portfolio, and you have to treat it like a business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And manage it well with professional experts like Ervina.
Thank you.
Yes.
Amazing. So thank you again. Thank you very much, Ervina. It's been a pleasure and an honor to have you on our podcast.
Yes.
And it was a very good and insightful podcast.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us.
My very pleasure to be here.
All right. So you're listening to the Property Partners podcast, where we help buyers buy smarter, invest wiser, and grow with confidence. And we'll catch you all next time.